It's live.
What's up, everybody? What's happening? Can you hear me, Rich?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. So, my beautiful wife worked magic. I don't know how she did it, how we did it, but right now we're live. I think by YouTube
And Facebook.
Yes. We were experiencing some difficulties tonight, everybody. I apologize.
It happens.
It happens. You know what it is. It is what it is. With that being said, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Richard Williams, Chuck Richards, and Kevin Branzetti. They'll all be coming along slowly. Real Talk is sponsored by the Deadly Arts Magazine, Soft Illusions Art Gallery, Melba Wilson, her restaurant, and Leon Ellis Chocolat, his restaurant. I would give out the real skinny on all those things, but like I said, everything has been a little clustered. Every Monday, Real Talk Chronicles, we're on YouTube and Facebook Live. Subscribe to us if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, share us, and under whomever you watch from. Tonight, of course, we keep it real. Tomorrow, I'm doing a special edition with Sparkle Entertainment, D. Williams, my special edition Legends and Promotions. I will have D. Williams on tomorrow, and we'll talk about the promotional, his legacy and what he's done and how he's left it behind. Otherwise than that, everybody, thank you for chiming in and joining. And let's go on. Let me ask my man Rich, how's he doing today? Rich, how you doing today, brother?
Man, listen, once again, man, I woke up with the 2 C's, a choice and a chance.
Absolutely.
Pretty fair for square.
What's up? What's up, Stefania? John. What's up, Andre? They coming, Stefania. They're coming. And Vera with the wonderful last name, Forster. How are you doing tonight? You can't never go wrong when you got a last name like Forster. And we're not related, but we're going to own it and claim it, man. Good evening, Brenda. Sister Brenda's in the building. So, Rich, we'll start off until the other guys join in. What's going on? Crime is crazy. What's up, John Cross, my partner? Definitely. Stefania said, hello, Rich. I find myself saying that to people now. A choice and a chance. LOL is super chatty. Super catchy. I'm sorry. I'll put my glasses on in a minute. We were having some discussion. Well, first and foremost, we got athletes that might not be able to play due to mandates. We still got crime. We got a new unit out right now that's supposed to be a version of anti-crime. We have baseball season about to come upon us. We also, what's going on? We have the female, I forgot her last name, African-American, that's going for to be a justice, the judge. She's having her, I'm going to call it interrogation. I'm not going to call it an interview process. And what else is going on in the world that we need to discuss? Cheryl White, what's going on, sis? How are you? Chuck is watching. Chuck, whenever you get a chance, let me know. I'll bring you in again. If you need a new link, let me know. I don't think so. What's up, Baker? Princella. I always mess her name up if she gets me. I apologize, but I think I said it right tonight. Stefania said, well, Eric Adams is lifting the mandate as far as athletes go. So Kyrie can now play at home game. Oh, is that what's come down? He's just lifted the mandate? Okay. All right, now watch out.
Yeah, they're playing tonight.
Who are they playing?
Memphis.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the game is about to be on. So yeah, but I don't know if he's able to play in Memphis. I don't know what Memphis.
No, he's playing.
Oh, he's playing tonight. Okay, so cool. I want to do a sports segment on basketball, maybe in the playoffs. Maybe I'll pull you in that. I know you're knowledgeable of basketball, so we might be able to kick it about that. I got my man Sal Mata is supposed to be coming in with me to talk about baseball, and we'll have discussions about that stuff.
Hey, listen, I don't know if you know this about me. I got the the original plaque that used to be on the fence in Rucker Park.
Really?
The city went around like 20 years ago and redid the parks, and there used to be a plaque on each park, a big thick wooden plaque, and they were taking them down and shredding them and putting them up with that new cardboard type of thing they got now on the fences. And they came to Rucker Park last, and I was working with Entertainers Basketball back then, and I was in the park when they came, and they were going to get ready to shred the plaque. And I said, yo, what you doing with that? They said, we're going to shred it. I said, can I keep that? They said, go ahead, take it. So I took it, and since I got it, I've been collecting signatures on it of all of the great ball players, that ever played in Rucker Park.
Mm-hmm.
So I got everybody from Dr. J to Joe Hammond, Pee Wee Kirkland, Nate Archibald, you name them, I got them.
That's what's up.
And it's a collector's item that every summer, when the tournament starts, I bring it out to add signatures that I didn't get yet.
All right, I'll sign it too. You know what I'm saying?
I'm quite sure you will.
Yeah. Hey, let me say something. What's up, Sharon Stevens Browns? How are you? Stefani said, "Wow, that's cool." So let me just say this: you and I was having a discussion until the fellas chime in with us. What do you think this new unit is going to do in lieu of shaking guns off the street? Because over the weekend, 28 people got shot. Not shot at, shot. 28 people got shot in New York City. An off-duty cop just got shot at last night or yesterday over a little, I guess, jockeying for position on the street. And dude bust off at him. So,
yeah, I got that in my email today. I get those emails from the 32nd precinct.
Right. Yep.
Different things that occurred. And there was a brother that was actually on his way to work.
Yep.
Off-duty cop on 155th Street and Edgecombe Avenue. He gets into a fender bender, road rage with a guy. The guy argues with him, gets in his car, drives off, and sticks a gun out the window and shoots at him.
Mm-hmm.
They caught they didn't catch him, but they caught somebody in the vehicle in Brooklyn later on today.
Oh, they finally did catch it. What's up, Bobby?
They tracked the vehicle down. It wound up in Brooklyn, and whoever was in it, they got them.
Okay.
So the investigation is ongoing, so to speak. But to your point about the taking the guns off of the street, the guns being on the street, man, it's just getting worse because now you have and they always had the ability for these ghost guns, like these guys, you can order parts to a gun and assemble it if you know how to do it. Plus you got the 3D guns now. They're using 3D printers to create these plastic guns and then make clips and load them up with bullets. So it's a whole lot of ways guys are getting guns. And then on top of that, all of the states that surround us going south, it's legal to have guns. It's legal to buy them and it's legal to sell them. So they're not going to fuck up their economy, because we don't have a law that, that allows us to buy and sell guns. They making a profit off of that. So people are going down there buying and bringing them back up. So they making money off it. So for them, it's not in their interest to stop it, to stop selling them, but the government has to crack down on it the same way they crack down on cigarettes. Because when they had Bloomberg jacked up the price of cigarettes, were going down south. And then the ATF, which is also the department that deals with firearms, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, they started doing these sting jobs where they would watch the spots where guys was coming from out of state and loading up on cigarettes and then catch them on the highway, bringing them back. That's one of the things they need to start doing also, because this thing can't just weigh on the NYPD. You know, they getting the results of all of this stuff coming in, but it's a federal problem. It's a national problem. You know, and all of the states that are states that don't allow guns. You know, it's the same thing when we had alcohol prohibition. They stopped alcohol, so they was buying it under the ground. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And New York is notorious for that. You know, if you want something in New York, if you got money, you can get it.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny though. Maybe we could just have some definitely real talk. If they want to get the guns off the street, they can get the guns off the street. You know what I'm saying? Let's cut the BS. A lot of times people do what they want to do. Right now, it's a problem.
When you say they, who is they? Who can get them off the street?
The powers that be. I mean, the government, whomever.
That was my point.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm just saying that we're sitting here. It can't just be thrown in the mayor's lap. You know, he's asking for the federal help, and it's not happening right now. So people are still getting killed all over the world, and that's in there lies the problem. Right now, it's like larceny is the thing to do and the thing to be. You know, we got to stop that. But let's bring in Kev real quick. See how his day is going. What's up, Kev?
Hello, gentlemen. Good evening. Sorry,
Good evening.
I was
It's all
cooking
right.
dinner for my kids, and it went a little late.
And that's all right. What'd you cook tonight? Let's see.
A roasted chicken.
Okay, because I don't want them kids to be screaming and hollering.
Nah, I cook them a legit dinner.
Oh, okay. You got skills?
Yeah, I like to hear them say that.
Yeah. They come to
Well,
the
hello
camera
to you too,
all-
Rich.
They
So
come to
hello
the camera
first, then
all
we can
green
pick on each
faced.
other.
I don't know, Kev. You don't look like a cook to me, man.
That's hurtful.
Mhm. Like these guys, Kev. We were
I
just
was
talking.
listening in.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring you in, but I'm just gonna read some comments from two former law enforcement guys. Robert said, "Stake out the gun stores." He said, "Richard is right. The state, the PA fireworks stores and bus, when they hit the bridge." Exactly. John Cross said, "Make the law stricter. If you get caught with a gun, bottom line." You know, I'm with that. Shout out to my man Al Roman chiming in. You know, Al, what's your thoughts too? I know, just listening and maybe you'll catch up. Junior Blake, he said, "Kev, did you use any seasoning on your chicken?" Yo, for some kids that are supposed to be eating, they don't sound like they quiet. They sound like they about to tear stuff up in there.
Should
Yeah.
have brought them to McDonald's. They would have been quiet. They protested.
They're taking chicken, slamming it against the wall now. Yo,
That's your boy doing that, Kevin.
right
It ain't me this time. It's not me.
That's right. I got Chef Boyar Kevin down here.
Yeah, everybody giving you the business. Yeah, exactly. But listen, bravo to you for being that father. So all jokes aside, but I salute you for being
Listen,
that man.
I cook. They make him a salad every night. You know.
That's probably why they mad.
That's probably why I'm mad.
They like
Get
it.
an ass a pork chop or something, some shit. Yeah. Give them some meat and some steak and potatoes. You sitting there making them human rabbits. You know what I'm saying? Giving them some lettuce.
Hey, Bill. When I was a kid, my mother she couldn't afford McDonald's. She used to make us those burgers with red
bread,
peppers and onions in them, and then put it on a regular slice of bread.
And by the time you pick it up, it'd be soggy. But
It'd be soggy in the middle.
Yo, I swear, no lie. I thought about making one of them like last week. I was just like, no. Go old school. You know what I'm saying? But I said, nah, that's all right. What's up, Norm Davis in the building? Robert said, what happened to the old commercial that you get 1 year in jail for a gun? You're right about that. You know what's so funny? Kevin, what's your thoughts? Because like they said, and chime out to the former law enforcement officers in the building. Appreciate you guys for coming on. And you guys are always welcome, or anybody's always welcome to join the panel at any given time. That being said, wonder if you just came up with a law about, you get caught with, like Rob said, it used to be 1 year, but right now people are doing 1 year like a vacation. So
That's
maybe
still on the books.
Huh?
That's still on the books.
It
1
is
year.
on the books. Okay.
The problem is you plea out to attempted possession of a gun, and that no time. Right? And that's the whole thing with plea bargains, right? Plea bargains is always a step down from the crime. So once you make it attempted, you don't have to serve jail time. So that's the way these go away. You're not getting jail time for them. We're not even holding people for a gun. We're letting them go right back out.
Well, yeah, we're not holding people for anything. Seems like that. You know what I'm saying? I heard there's a lot of DAs retiring for whatever reason. I don't know. Whatever they. There you are. Hi, Chuck.
It took some time.
Is it me or does Chuck have a new background every week?
Yo, listen. Let me tell you something. He must got that screensaver. Like every time you turn around, you don't know Chuck. Now he looked like he's in an art gallery. He look at some fine pieces on the wall. He got his nice little James Earl Jones sweater on.
Jones. No, that's Bill Cosby sweater, man.
Nobody wants to be called Bill Cosby.
Nobody wants to be called Bill Cosby.
Well,
don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, man. Don't do that to me.
I tried to change my background too. See,
I see the Michael Jackson
up there. So you be running around the house dancing and
moonwalking,
singing.
Doing
I'm gonna have to ask Brenda. I'm gonna say, what's his favorite artist? You gonna say Michael? You know what I'm saying?
No, that's Al Taylor's favorite artist.
Yeah.
Yo, you put a Michael Jackson song on, that boy is dancing all over the room.
Yeah, Al, you better start out there and getting some start to change some petitions. You can get out, you know what I'm saying? Leave Michael alone and shit. I can't wait to get you in here on Monday, next Monday come around. So, Chuck, we're just talking about gun legislation and stuff like that. People, we were just talking about the off-duty officer that just got shot at today or yesterday. People are still shooting people left and right, robbing people. I think, the other guy, the feces thrower.
He did something else recently.
Yeah.
He got rearrested.
Yeah, exactly. He just, I mean, listen, people and Rich, this is the conversation you and I were having on the phone the other day. A prelude to that. People, we were talking about it, I'm paraphrasing, but people say they want crime stopped, but they don't want officers doing what they got to do. It's not an easy job. But like I was telling Rich, Chuck, and Kev, I said, as soon as you do something to the guy that's on the corner for 12 hours a day and you get into it with him, you have people talking about, oh, you harassed him and you beating him up. You can't have it both ways. It's a slippery slope, and it's a hard job to do that. Now we got this new unit out here walking around here with, and I heard these guys are not really experienced. You're not going to bring a 15-year veteran to go take that position. There's no incentive for that. What you going, like night pay? Who cares about that now? People are just trying to go home. I mean, what's your take on that, Chuck?
I mean, quite honestly, man. What, in terms of these new units that's been put out, how much time could you possibly have trained them to give them the experience? Whereas, let's say, guys who has 10 or 15 years on, right? There's certain body language. There's certain things that you automatically see. There's a certain intuitiveness in regards to being able to pick somebody off or to possibly think that someone might be carrying a gun or a firearm. I mean, if I'm correct, most of these guys who are now a part of this unit, some of them probably only have maybe 3, maybe 4 years. So they're very inexperienced. And then what are you going to teach them in regards of being able to have that intuitiveness within a short window of training them and telling them like stop, question, and the whole 9 yards, and then expecting them to be able to pick somebody off and possibly see someone who's maybe carrying a gun. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I remember back in the day, when you used to see somebody, like walking the street and they used to look down in their hands, right? We used to say automatic, oh, that guy's either got crack or he's got weed in his hands, right? Now everyone's always looking in their hands because everyone's got a cell phone, right? So people are constantly walking around looking in their hands, So that being said, I'm not sure exactly how effective they want to be, unless for argument's sake, you're going to put them out there for omnipresence and put them in a position where during certain hours of the night, they're just combing the streets and people think twice. But as we've seen recently, you have people bucking shots at police officers in the middle of the afternoon. So it doesn't, I'm not sure how effective it is, but I think it could be a deterrent if there's a great sense of omnipresence. But in terms of their ability to assess very rapidly if and when someone's carrying a gun, I don't think that that's going to be something that they're going to be able to figure out right off the cuff. It's going to take some time and it's going to take some experience. And if you got a guy, like you said, that has 10 or 15 years on the job, they don't be bothered with that because they're worried about the liability issues.
Kev, what's your take?
I don't know if there's enough training you could ever give them. I don't know what the teams are made up of. I like to give them a chance and see what they're going to do out there. But I think it's still going to be a while before good cops feel it's worth going the extra mile, worth chasing that guy, worth, grabbing that guy on the street corner and searching him and looking for that gun. I think you're still in a gotcha moment, right? You're waiting, you do a couple of good things and then somebody sees you and has a little bit of a video and has a perception of what you did and it's over. I would be tentative still on the street, right? You don't know which way the wind is still blowing. You always want to know as a good cop that the city has your back, right? You're allowed to, have a mistake or a bad day or just get the benefit of a doubt.
Kev, elaborate on that more. Elaborate on that more for people.
Because you said it a little bit earlier. Police work's not pretty sometimes, right? Sometimes you got to punch somebody in the face, right? Sometimes you're going to hurt somebody. Like I was talking to my little ones today about this. You don't know when you're wrestling with somebody. Am I wrestling with a man who is trying to get away or get me? And it's a different fight than, I've had a lot of fights playing hockey. I have a fight in a hockey game. It's very quick, fair, broken up, no harm, no foul. You have a beer afterwards with each other, right? And you become friends.
Yeah. See, let me just.
You don't know.
That's white people shit. Black people.
I knew that was coming.
You punch me in my face during no basketball game, no football game, and buy me a beer after. It's not happening.
Man.
I just wanted to lighten the tone with that.
No, I got
but go ahead,
hey, Kevin, I got to ask you something. You got two. What you got? Sons?
I got 4 kids, 2 and 2.
Oh, 2 and 2. How old are the boys?
18-7.
18 and 7. Okay. Have you ever had that conversation with them that we have with our kids, our boys?
I had a conversation about you with them, but no, I haven't had that conversation.
That's right. If I catch those little bastards in the street. I'm gonna say, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands.
On a rainy night, baby, on a little drizzle, rainy, dark night, we got some jokes tonight. Everybody, it ain't a full moon, but we acting like it tonight.
Oh my God!
Make sure they let me see their hands.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I'm joking, but I'm not joking.
No, I get you. No,
Rich,
Rich, I
the
hear
reality
you.
is we have a different conversation with black boys. And I'm not talking about black kids that are running the street. I'm talking about kids that are in school, doing the right thing, that just walk in the street. How they have to address police officers in certain situations where they're targeted as being the problem. Just because they're dark skinned.
So let me ask you a question. Here, I'm gonna hit you guys with a different elephant. Would you sacrifice kids of color getting a little harassed for violence to go down.
Yeah, but you didn't let my question get answered by Kevin.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin. Well,
no, I haven't
gave
had
him
that.
pass
No.
on it. I asked him a question. You know.
Well, I'm sorry, Rich. Don't get sensitive.
Rich, I live in the
We having a
suburbs.
funny joke.
I don't have to. No, I've not had that conversation with my kids.
But it doesn't matter where you live at. If I live living in the suburbs,
matters.
we still got to have that conversation, even more so.
Yeah, yeah.
Because look at the guy that went inside of a construction site, looking at a house, jogs out and gets killed running down the street.
Perception, yeah.
And the same site, other people went and looked around just like he did, and they thought nothing of it, because they were white. Here's a black guy runs in, then he runs out. At the end of the road, he gets killed. And my point is just, we have a different perception of law enforcement. I hear what Bill is saying, where we rather give up this to get justice and all of that. I mean, it's like we gotta allow a certain type of policing in our neighborhood. So it's either that or no policing.
No, I don't think that's
I'm
the
just
answer
giving
either,
you the
Rich. But
impression
how about this
that's
part
being
for the
given,
answer?
The impression that's being given is either we got to police this way or we can't police at all.
Well, I have nothing has a one-prong approach, right? We need to be able to do better policing, and we need to have better communication and have better cops.
I agree with you.
But we also, what's going on right now, we also need better parents. Those guns go home every night with some little kid. Little Johnny goes home with his gun.
Yeah, just like that.
Right in front of mom's face.
Yeah.
Every gun on the street goes in somebody's home at night.
Yeah, just like those guns that was in the house with some of these guys that went out and shot up the whole school. They were in the house every night.
Yeah, I'm not defending that either. Look, those parents who have their legal guns in the house and let their kids have it need to go to jail. Like I'm not into I have guns in my house. They're locked up. My kids do not touch them, play with them, and never will walk out.
But the reality is they don't go to jail.
That's not true. It depends upon the scenario. But we're not talking about that. We're flipping this. At the moment, New York City, gun violence, parents, where are they in this? I said, those guns go home every night. They're in Junior's bedroom every single night. Every one of those firearms.
Listen, I hid a lot of shit from my parents. They didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. Right. So I'm not even going to put that totally in the lap of the parent.
But what? Hold on, Rich. Let me ask you a question, though. Now,
so that's where I have to disagree.
Yeah, hold on. Go ahead, Chuck. I'll let you chime in.
I'll have to disagree because they said that it takes a village, right, to raise a child. And unfortunately, based in our communities, we've become so disjointed, and we're constantly combating with one another, pushing and pulling, as if like we're like barrels, like we're what it said, a barrel full of crabs. That at one point, I remember when I was growing up, I had 16 different aunts on my block. God forbid I did anything that was ridiculous, anything that was crazy. And even if my mother or my father didn't see it, believe me, Mrs. Gillicuddy across the street went and told my mother. And it wasn't an issue where my mother would say, well, you need to mind your damn business because he's not your kid. My mother would say, did you do that? So that community in itself helped raise me as well as my mother. Right now, we are so disjointed that sometimes we have babies raising babies. And then when someone does come to you and say that your child did X, Y, and Z, the first thing we do is, as a community, we get defensive. We 9 times out of 10 become combative. And then we end up telling that person, well, you need to mind your business. You need to look at your own kids. See, I'm sorry. It has to be more than one approach. It has to be a community approach. It has to be a police approach. And it also, depending on what your faith is, depending if you go to church or whatever, guess what? It becomes that faith is church as well. So I'm talking about community leaders, parents, and the police department all have to forge some type of united front when it comes to dealing with issues associated with guns. And I'm sorry, there are some parents who are not being parents. I remember when I came home, no matter what, even if my jacket had a tear in it or I was missing a pencil, my mom's, what you mean you got, what do you mean you don't have your pencil? Let me see that damn bag. She would go in my bag and figure out and want to know Why I don't have a pencil? Where did I lose it? Parents, I'm sorry. I find they have to be involved and they have to take some responsibility, and they have to be parents. They can't be Johnny's best friend. All right. We want to communicate with our parents. We want to put in a position that we can talk to our kids, but there's a particular point where we have to take some type of responsibility in terms of ensuring and knowing the whereabouts and what our kids are going, what's in their bag or what's in their room, and so on and so forth.
Chuck, I totally agree with you. I wasn't trying to say that you have to. I wasn't trying to dismiss the parents' involvement. All I was
it sounded like you were. You said, "Oh, I thought you were trying to say that." No,
well, let me clarify.
Okay.
What I'm saying to you is that there are instances where things can happen with your children and you don't know.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I
We have
respect that.
all snuck and done things that our parents didn't find out about, and maybe they found out later, but we got away with shit, you know. And anybody trying to say they get away with shit, you know, I don't know what kind of game you had, but
Rich, let me just say this. Yeah, we all got away with things, right? But not to the extent we did now, because I'm sure we all had parents, grandparents, somebody, excuse me, that would go in your room and check your clothes, like Chuck would say, or check on your bed. You know, some of us might have lived in semi like boot camp kind of houses, because my parents, there was no such thing about what are you doing in my drawer? You know what I'm saying? My dresser drawer, or what are you doing in my desk drawer?
Right.
Parents go they, listen. My father,
no,
be like,
if you're white, that'll happen.
huh? What do you say?
If you were white,
white,
that space. You know, dude, this is my space. You can't violate my space, dude.
Well, listen. They probably said that later on in life and shit on TV, but they didn't even listen. I'm sure if they would have said that to Fathers Know Best or somebody like that, they might have got smacked in their mouth too. Let me tell you something. The courtship of Eddie's daddy, he might not played that shit. You know what I mean?
He ain't put no hands on them kids, man. He talked to them kids.
I bet you one of them little kids throw some eggs at Mr. Rogers.
Man. Cut it out, man.
I bet you if a kid threw an egg at Mr. Rogers, I bet you he wouldn't be smiling and talking off his shoes. I bet he'd be taking up that belt.
Well, I know one thing for sure. Any of these shoes expression, I'm not trying to make me a white or black or Hispanic thing, but if you had a parent that was in the military, you knew you was getting your ass smacked. It was no you whether you were white, black, or Hispanic. If you had a father or mother who was in the military and they were or ever in the military, it was a different dynamic in that household. It was a total different dynamic.
But
hold on, Rich. Hold on. Let me just say this. Let's keep it 100. Old school is old school, no matter what ethnicity is. Because the bottom line is, I grew up in a melting pot of people. I went to a mixed school. I went to a Catholic high school. That's where I learned about the Beatles and all kind of stuff, and different rock groups, and you know, because the bottom line is, I didn't really pay attention to the Rolling Stones or something like that until I got around people that listened to it. So you know, that's diversity, and that's learning about Chuck. When we go to Blondie's, our crew is mixed. You know what I'm saying? Our whole crew is mixed. We could see a picture. Shit, I mean, you was just away not too long ago, and you was right in the middle. I was about to be fair. I thought it was Get Out and shit. You know what I'm saying? you was in Vermont or some shit. I was like, oh no, they got him.
Yo, Bill, what high school did you go to?
Oh, Hollows in the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
I went to Catholic. But let me just say this. So I say all that to say that when we were raised, all of us are here. When we were raised, there was an old school ideology. We didn't talk back. You talk back, you get a swift hand. What's the joke? Eddie Murphy say your mother take off the shoe. You know what I'm saying? From the Latin people, the chancletas, they take them off, they hit you with it. So yeah, as we got older, right? Because those tighten up years, maybe that young age to maybe 15, because at 15 now we're in the sports, or you know, or maybe like the parents were taking us to the basketball games. But when we got into high school, everything now we started doing ourselves. We started going to practice, but we had to tell our parents we was going to practice. It wasn't like, yo, you coming in here at 8:00 and you ain't got a trophy, or you didn't tell me some stats. You know, or you didn't tell me you had a game. Listen, you had a girlfriend. Your parents knew who your girlfriend was. You knew your parents. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm just trying to say, that this breakdown now is totally different. So when we start throwing onus on the parents, it is definitely warranted, because the bottom line, like which one of the gentlemen said, parents are not doing this. Like you said, Chuck, you had
But Bill, they changed the rules for parents. You can't discipline your child.
I understand that.
I don't have to beat my child to check their bag and look in their room.
You ever beat your kid, Kevin?
Yo,
this is recorded, right?
Do you beat your kid? Do you look in his bag?
This
is recorded
right now, causing all kinds of fucking mayhem.
Kevin, you getting it from all sides today, man.
Actually, this is a comedy hour tonight. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host Kevin and Rich, Chuck, Kevin.
I'm also very, the old school way. I have dinner every night with my kids. You start that from a very young age.
That's very rare.
Which is very rare.
We did that too. I did that with mine too. But mine's is
don't eat dinner with their parents.
39 and 29 now.
Yeah.
But remember back in the days, and you old enough to remember this, Bill, because this whole new notion of kids having kids, it's always been like that. Because I remember when I was in school, and if a girl got pregnant, the first thing they would do was send her down south. Mm-hmm. So we didn't know where she went. But once they sent her down south, we knew what that meant. Oh, she's pregnant.
Yeah. But let me just say this.
Family would help raise that child. It wasn't just her. It was the family.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You knew your uncles and stuff like that. Listen, my grandmother had my father when she was, I think, 15 or 16 years old. But then she met a man that loved her, and he adopted, you know what I'm saying, and took the family in. So we got to understand, there's no more James Earl Jones and Claudines. Those guys is gone. Mm-hmm. We got guys right now, like I said, we talking about hitting it from the back and flip it and slap it up. You know what I'm trying to talk? We talking about what's that song with Lil Wayne talking about something butter? You know what I'm saying? We making songs like this. So what happened to the songs that we grew up on, that you was loving somebody and I miss you, and the guys, it doesn't rain, it rains when mm-hmm. all kind of stuff. The Temptations and
Teddy Pendergrass, come and go with me to my place.
Exactly. Right now, you got a guy talking about give me head in the car. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's totally different. Let me just read some comments, Rich, because we got a lot of comments coming in here. Marianne from YouTube, she says, children always today are and at any time take initiative on not wanting to disappoint our parents, that we took matters into our own hands. Yeah, they did do that. Let me read some other stuff. Robert said, this happens to me at QCC, the campus radio station. Pat, yes, I am, Auntie Pat. She said, Richard, as a white person, I find it sad for Black kids that have to live in fear. You got away with things, but not like today's kids. AJ Miller said, Chuck, good point. But that gun goes home with that kid every night. Parents need to parent point blank. James said, absolutely, thank you, on whomever he was talking. Princess is in the building. Stefania said he hit it on the nail. I think they were talking about you, Chuck. I'm reading backwards. Princess said, we also need the community to understand their role in their community and keep each other safe. Absolutely. Let me see. Justina said, I had this conversation with my son in high school before he left for college. AJ Miller said, Kevin don't need to have that talk with his kids. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way things are. Baker also said, with proper supervision, you don't have to have that trade-off. Justina said, I read that point. Baker said, my understanding of one of the issues is, and this comes from one of my people who are close to Patty. Patty who? James. If he's told, you're talking about the union. If he's told the union membership to keep their hands in their pockets because the public doesn't appreciate the difficult job they do, therefore no real experienced officers are taking that detail. Therefore, in the unit, just a dog and a pony show for the public. I agree with that. I think this was de Blasio era. I think if you've seen Pat Lynch right now, he has a good relationship with Eric Adams. they've stood together, especially with the new PC. So I don't know if Pat is really coming out bashing, because Eric hasn't said anything against law enforcement, and I don't know right now any NYPD officer that has the spotlight on him. So I get what you're saying about that, but I don't know if that's fair to say right now. Norm Davis said, "This is just my opinion, but law enforcement needs to get paid like doctors. The pay is too low for what they have to go through." We have some videos. John Cross also, he said, it all starts with the bail laws. If you spend 3 weeks in jail waiting to go to the grand jury on your case, and if you are found guilty, the punishment should fit the crime. Yeah, I mean, fellas, I mean, a lot of people got a lot of opinions on this stuff, and we got to find something to make this up. What's up, Nate? Nate Crawford in the building. Greg Perry's in the building. So we don't have the answers. I think we all agree, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it starts in the home. Young, old, it all starts in the home. Because, I mean, I remember having a conversation with my mother. I was like, what's up, Michelle Alexander? I remember one time just saying this. I don't have to go into all the details, but I just said, Mom, I was 18, and I said, listen, if I do anything wrong, I said, please don't hold that against yourself and you and Dad. I said, you did everything right. That just means I chose to go down that path. In life, we got doors, we got options. And, nothing positive gravitates and captivates a child's mind. No, tell me anybody that says I want to be a 90 student. You know what I'm saying? You want to be a basketball player. You want to be a rapper. You want to be a baseball player. You want to be an actor. You want to be something that is harder to obtain maybe than being a doctor or a lawyer. That's the craziest thing where we're dealing. I was listening to an article one time or interview, and the gentleman said, I'm not going to, I'll say his name, Omar Johnson. He said, or Umar Johnson, I want to make sure I pronounce his name properly. He was saying how they taken the trade out of schools. There are people that, remember, we used to go, they had workshops in schools and stuff like that. Like you had printing on the West Side, I think it is. You have graphics and design. You had schools that gave you trade. If you weren't doing too good in your grades, you had to do certain workshops. Those are all gone now, right now. When's the last time you seen somebody talk about, I want to go to school to be a electrician? You know what I'm saying?
But Bill, back then, all of the schools had trades in them. Got the schools were printing. I went to Hughes. Hughes used to be, before Hughes was textiles industry.
Yes.
All of these schools were trade based. And you went to these schools and you got taught carpentry, electrical. You got textile. You had printing. You had all of these different trades that they taught you as an option of college. And you got a lot of guys that went to high school, that went straight from high school into these union jobs, where they were plumbers, electricians, and all of that. And they made enough money to put their kids through college, But like you said, they took them all out. And back to your point about the parents being responsible for the kids, like I said, they changed laws where if I discipline my child and my child shows up in school with a mark on them, you're going to get charged with abuse. And if that shit goes on your record, that's going to affect your job. So a lot of parents is like, whoa, listen, just take this kid. And then they put him in a group home because they had a thing called a PINS petition. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In need of supervision. Right?
You remember that story I told last week where I said that little kid was trying to jump out the window? That was the pins. Yep, exactly.
Okay. So they put the pins.
That's because you pins them to the floor?
I should have.
Pins out there as a means for the parent to deal with that unruly child. If your child is out of order, you can't put your hands on them no more. You call up the PINS petition and you tell them you have a person in need of supervision. They come and step in and then they do a bullshit ass job and that kid is still doing the same shit. Then they say, well, we'll take him and put him in a group home. They put a kid in a group home. I don't know about you guys, but I had this conversation with my mother because I didn't receive allowance, the traditional allowance, you know. And I heard this story once about allowance. So somebody said, yo, I get allowance and I do this with my allowance. And I was like, allowance? What's allowance? So they told me, yo, my parents give me this money every week. So I went to my mother. I was like, yo, I said, how come I don't get allowance? She said, who told you about allowance? I said, well, my friends was telling me they get allowance. She said, well, you get allowance? I said, I do. She said, yeah, I'll allow you to live here. Now get your ass in here and clean that fucking bathroom.
Exactly, man.
But my point is, when I started working in foster care, you had kids in foster care, you get 4 clothing checks a year. You get allowance every week. You get recreation money every week. And you don't have to go to school.
What?
If you don't go to school, they assign you your counselor, and your counselor has to talk to you about why you don't want to go to school and all this bullshit. And the kid basically do what the fuck you want to do.
But once again, this is the child controls the narrative.
But this is the system that they put in place to deal with the parent that they said was abusing the child by disciplining him the way we got disciplined. So now you're dealing with a family now that's forced to deal with disciplining their child in a different way that they don't agree with. They like, yo, you ain't doing that shit in my house. Get the fuck out.
Well, listen, I'm sure all of us here, our parents would all be in jail if the laws were today what they were back then. So the bottom line is, I am happy that I was raised this way because, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a little hard-headed sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I can be a little stubborn. So I think sometimes I needed some act right. And, you know, I can.
Could teachers hit you, Bill, when you were in school?
I went to Catholic high school. I've seen fights in school. Yes.
No. I'm talking about the teachers. Were the teachers allowed to discipline you?
Yes, absolutely.
Punishment. Same thing with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then they took all of that shit out. And you would let a teacher hit you because you don't want him telling your parent.
Listen. I've seen teachers. I've had teachers grab me by the ear. I've seen teachers square off and have a whole boxing match in a class. Listen, Olden, Polynice, and I got slapped.
You know Olden?
We went to school together. We was in class together. We played ball together. Listen, we got slapped because we started a fire in biology. So listen, I'm telling you, yo, I had that little frog ass on fire.
Oh my God!
I don't even know if you ever listening. Remember that shit?
Oh
Brother Hennessy came out and slapped the shit out of both of us. He said, "Yeah, what are y'all doing here? Y'all playing game?" Cap. And I said, when I knew he slapped Olden, I knew I was next. Yo, because I wasn't that tall. Olden was already 6'5" or 6'3" at the time, so you know he was gonna come hit my little.
His ass would have got it worse when he got home. His family didn't play that.
But you know what? The parents, that didn't even get home. Because let me tell you something. You asked me the other day on the phone. You said, have you ever got hit and you didn't deserve it? And I told you yes. Let me tell you something. One time the teacher told, or not, I don't know if it was a teacher or a kid, an upperclassman told my father I did something, or the teacher said something. And I was getting tore up in the car. Let me tell you something. And my father was like, yo, like, I said, you know, I was just like, yo, you're beating my ass, and you didn't even get me explained. And you know what he said? He said, well, why would they tell me? You see what I'm saying, Chuck? This goes back to like you said, you know, I could not curse. It would get a phone call would get to my first I would get reprimanded by Miss Sanchez, Miss Branzetti, anybody, you know, Miss Richardson, Miss Williams. I would get it before I get home. You understand what I'm trying to say? That day is gone. Right now, you tell a kid on the block or anybody else, what? You don't know me. You don't know, yo, shorty.
Right.
I was teaching karate to a kid one time, and the kid was like, yo, I'll tell my father he got guns. I was like, yo, I kill your father and kill you too. Yo, I said, yo, I wasn't. Who you talking to, punk?
You got issues, brother.
Listen, Kev. All right, Kev. Everybody, Kev, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? We'll talk to you later, Kev. Kev got to take care of some family stuff.
Good night, all.
Be good, man.
You got to go to McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, he had some video stuff that we wanted to show. Shout out to my man Earl. Earl and I were in the grammar school together. Shoot, Earl, we had basketball practice. Our gym teacher chased us around the basketball to make us run faster, to play better D. He chased us around the gym with I think a Hot Wheel track. Was it Earl or something? Or I don't know. Yo, listen, man. Back then, you can't make a kid today do push-ups. They said that's punishment.
Yeah.
That's abuse.
That's abuse. Yeah.
Get your little ass on the floor.
I used to make my son do push-ups.
Yeah.
Push-ups and sit-ups. I said, you want this ass whipping or you want to do this exercise? I used to wear his ass out with that exercise.
Yo, I had a friend of mine tell me. He said, "Yo, we was talking about something." He said, "Don't mention police and certain kind of rights around these kids." I said, "What?" I said, "Yo," he said, "I don't want my kids to know that they can pick up the phone." Listen, punch that little dude and that little dudette in their chest, man.
I'm telling you.
Listen.
What was it? Who was it? Was it Bernie Mac? He said, "I'll punch a kid in the stomach in a minute."
Right in the gut.
I'll punch you. Bernie Mac, I'll punch a kid. I'll punch a kid in the stomach.
My boy's father was like that. Anybody that he would bring home, like he would bring somebody to his house for the first time, his father would be waiting at the door. And I experienced this firsthand. First time I went to his house, I walked in the door and he introduced me to his father. He didn't reach his hand out and shook my hand. He punched me in my chest so fucking hard. I thought I was having an asthma attack. I fell on the floor. And I was mad like a motherfucker. I'm jumping up. He's like, yo, chill. Dad. He's like, man. He said, I don't want no punks hanging out with my son, man. You all right? This motherfucker's crazy.
But, yo, you know what's so funny, kid? Yo, check this out. I'm just thinking about what you were saying. Yo, listen. Your parents wasn't playing it. My man Earl said, he said in Cardinal Hayes, they didn't touch us. Only when you came in late, the dean, Mr. Agnes, gave you a choice. Now check this choice out that he's saying. He said the paddle on your ass 5 times or detention. Many of us took the paddle. No tie, same option. But no teacher grabbed or put their hands on us. Well, Earl, that paddle on that ass.
I think I was touching you.
What are you talking about? Nobody put their hand. What kind of fucking paddle was that? That you don't count that as an ass?
I would say that's getting touched.
So he works with kids now. He said can't touch kids today or verbally threaten them. Corporal punishment, abuse charges, mental abuse charges. Shut serious down. Bernie Mac said, I'm opening a daycare first 3 months free. You don't need no nanny camera. I'm telling you, I'm fucking your kid up. Exactly.
I punch a kid in the gut. I don't give a damn.
Yo, listen.
Hey, yo. I'm from that old school. Like I told you, I worked as a dean in Mott Hall High School. And there was a kid I had suspended. And I called his house and I told his mother he had to come and get him. So we on the 4th floor. So she came and she walked up to the 4th floor. I was telling her to call me when she gets to the building, but she didn't do that. She came to the building and walked up the stairs. I didn't know he was living with his grandmother. And his grandmother was elderly and she was barely making up the stairs. Wow. And I was like, wow, I didn't know. You should have called. I told you to call me. She said, no, that's okay, young man. So I'm talking to her about what the kid did. He's sitting in the office and he gets up and he said, man, I'm out of here. Come on, bring your old ass on. And I looked at this motherfucker and I walked to the exit. I said, what you say? He said, mind your fucking mop. And I cracked him. And the motherfucker fell down a flight of stairs. And I said, oh, shit. Yo, I was like, oh, shit. I'm fired. Right? Wow. So The lady standing there, and I'm apologizing. I said, Miss, listen, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. She said, thank you, young man. He needed somebody to whip his ass, right? And I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, you punk ass motherfucker. This lady comes here to help you out, and you gonna talk to her like that?
Well, listen, I mean, we could talk a lot about stuff too. Listen, I see it seemed like it was a trend where guys were able to hit girls like recently, like as in maybe when Brenda and I was doing a Blue Nile and stuff like that. I mean, like you see, it was a big thing in school. Guys and girls was beating their young girls' ass. Yo, thank God nobody ever hit my daughter. What? Let me read this comment right here. Stefania said, did y'all see the teacher that got arrested after slapping a student in the hallway? Yes, it was caught on camera. Yo, let me tell you something. He sure did slap the shit out that kid, though. Yeah. Did you see that, Rich?
No.
Oh my God.
I mean, I seen it many times myself. I might have slapped, you know. I might have, you know.
I was a participant in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen it firsthand, you know, but
like my man Earl said, he said, the spare the rod, spoil the child is gone, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, Earl, like I said, we're gonna get you on the show one day, maybe next Wednesday, because you deal with a lot of children that are mentally, I guess, challenged. I think that's the proper word I should be able to say. Brenda says, I remember having to be in the house before the street lights came on. Nowadays, I look to the window and see or hear the young girls and boys walking in the streets late at night. Absolutely. What's up, Colin? I'm gonna tell you a story. One time, I thought I was slick, right? Since we chuckling a lot, all my crew was hanging outside, and it was 9 o'clock. I was supposed to be at 9 o'clock. I had my little Timex on, and I'm just take a licking and keep on ticking. So I don't know why I even tried this game right here. So all my friends was hanging out, and this one day, all of them got a pass. They could be out a little later. I don't know what day it was of the week. It might have. I don't even think it was Saturday. No, it was a weekday because I remember the ass whooping I got. So, because my father was at work. So I say all that to say, but it was a summer night. So my mother said, be home at 9 o'clock, like Brenda said, like the lights come on, whatever. I said, okay. I saw my friends out here. And Chuck, I'm right there, the second floor, so my window right there. We sitting on the cars. So I think I'm slick. I take my watch and turn the time back, a couple of minutes, 2 minutes, shit. All of a sudden, my mother comes to the window, whatever. I see her, like Norman Bates, you know what I'm saying? You just see the silhouette and shit. It's just a woman with the curtain. Oh, shit, okay. So then, hey! You know what I'm saying? I was feeling myself. I must have had too much sun kiss or some shit. I don't know. So I turned it back a little more. So I come up like, instead of 9 o'clock, I come up like 9:45. So she come in, so she goes off, right? She gets the little Hot Wheel track, the little orange joint.
Oh, yeah, man.
And she get the whipping boy. If my name wasn't Chicken George or Kuta Kite, she was tearing me up. But
yeah.
What's so funny? Like I was figuring I'd get maybe 10 lashes or slaps, whatever. But it got good to her, and she kept on and she didn't stop. So now, like the numbers just kept adding. I think she might have been in the 30 count, right? So I was just like, "Yo, stop! I started yelling, right?
You said that.
The old bread box where you had to turn a little hatch and it fall down an aluminum joint, right?
Uh-huh.
So I said, "Stop!" And I said, "Bow!" I punched the bread box in, right? So she was like, "Oh," she said, "Oh, stop!" She tried to use reverse psychology because she thought I went crazy. Because now I was like, "Ah," you know what I'm saying? She was like, "Stop!" But she was backing up. She was like, "Stop! What's wrong with you? Stop!" So I finally started yelling and shit. So then she said, "I got it." She went to the phone. I don't know if it was touch tone, the touch, or it was still the rotary.
Rotary.
Whatever it was at that time, she called my father. She said, "Yo, this boy done going crazy." She said, "What happened?" She said, "Oh, yo, he came in late, da 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 da." But then she said, so he was like, "Yeah, all right, whatever, beat his ass, whatever." But then she said, "Yo, he punched in the bread box you bought." He said, yo, put that little motherfucker on the phone. So he said, yo, he said, yo, you punching shit, our boy. So I was like, so you know when you asked out, boy, speak up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All that yelling I was doing, that shit was out the window, yo. So then he said, yo, you punching my bread box in? He said, all right, I'll be home soon. So he said, give me back to your mother. So I gave it back to my mother. She said, so then you know the shit was different. Yeah. Okay. Right. So now I go to my room. I try to go to bed. Listen.
No, ain't happening.
After that little bath, a little shower, whatever, I just went to bed. I was sleeping with everything, right? And no, you can't go to sleep. I'm sitting there.
You can't.
I'm counting.
You know it's coming.
Right.
Yo, when I tell you that was the worst beating I ever got, my father came home and he did the 52, as Malika would say, he did the 52 fake out on me. He came in and he threw the covers off. No, he's like, he threw the covers off the bed. It was like Dracula movie or some shit. Them shits all flew so fluently, right? And he stood there with his hands folded. So he said, yeah. He said, so you punching in bread boxes and shit, huh? Okay. So he said, take all your clothes off and go get the belt. So I said, oh shit. And that's what I'm saying. The worst thing for us is the fear of knowing we was going to get it.
But more, but the icing on the cake, they made you go get the instrument that they gonna whip your ass with. No, you know that blue belt in that top drawer in the back room? Go get it. Like, oh man,
beat your ass like Toby.
No. And my father had the big, thick, long, the fat leather belt from the black exploitation days and shit. You know what I'm saying? The Cleopatra Jones belts is the Jim Brown joint. So I was like, oh. So now I get up and he's standing there with his arms folded. Because usually I know he had the belt. So I'm taking all my clothes off and I go to get the belt. When I tell you he grabbed me, and let me tell you something, if there were even just 5 to 10 licks, I swear I cried and screamed like, oh my God, like you put me in boiling hot water. Well, I ain't never hit another bread box in no house. To this, you know what I'm saying? Right there. And probably I won't even buy a bread box, for a long time. I still get a flashback on bread box.
You got PSP.
I probably didn't eat bread for a long time. I stopped
from
eating
bread
carbs.
Boxes. Shell shock from a bread box.
Yo, you remember that's when you had the little aluminum joint, the bread, you put the bread in there, you close it, the hatch.
Oh,
but listen, man, things are different today. I see kids, all ethnicities talking back to their parents. I see our kids getting high with their parents. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, our parents was able to tell us, here, you want to taste this beer? They didn't let us taste the beer because they're trying to get us drunk. They wanted to taste the beer so they put our little ass to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Now you got kids sitting down having drinks with their children and stuff like that. I don't get it, man. It's a different world we live in.
Like I said, it's a total breakdown of community, and unfortunately, I don't know. Like, how do you put the genie back in the bottle? Like, how do you go about trying to raise your kids in such a way whereas you give them some type of framework, some type of structure, but in any society, right, there's trial and error, right, and it's going to be good and bad. So now, how do you address when a child does something that's inappropriate, when it's bad, like, and when you have your hands tied between the overall issues associated with the legislator, society, other people, some people, you get that Karen who sees you speaking to your kid, in the street because you did something wrong, and going, "Oh my God, you're a terrible parent. I'm going to put you on." Yo, Karen, you need to mind your business. I'm talking to my kid. My kid did something crazy. I'm disciplined. But some Karens, they don't know Johnny. Johnny, stop. But Johnny's tearing and taking all the freaking Fruit Loops and all the goddamn, boxes in a supermarket, crashing the place. And all she's saying is, Johnny, stop. Johnny, it's not good, Johnny. No, you better snatch little motherfucking Johnny up.
Yo, but Chuck, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, listen, I seen a little kid one time and he spat at his mother. He was like, She was like, listen, Peter, da 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 da. He's like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. He said, come on, Peter, come on over here. No. Now,
You sure his name wasn't Kevin?
nah.
Oh. Kevin's getting hit. You know,
Let me give a little Kevin here.
Yeah, he ain't here to defend himself tonight. Listen, so but listen, what I'm trying to say, I don't get it. You know what I'm trying to say? Any old school person, anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like Aunt Pat's on here. I know she wouldn't play that.
I had a guy I worked with. He was a preacher. He taught math. Actually, he was Chrisette Michelle's uncle, right? Mm-hmm. He taught math in our school. And this crazy chick, one of the students, because it was a special ed school, she spit on him. So he grabbed her and put her on the ground, and she's steadily trying to spit on her. So he put his hands on her mouth. Mm-hmm. So they called, the security and everything. They came, and then he was holding her real hard because she was fighting him, trying to get up. But every time he let her mouth go, she would spit on him. So he held her mouth, and then the assistant principal came and was like, let him go, Mr. Bryan, let him go, let her go. So he let her go, and then she spit on him again. Big glob of spit on his arm. He bent down on the floor and took his arm and smeared the spit all in her face.
Yo, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You know what I'm saying?
They brought him up on charges.
Really?
Yeah, they brought him up on charges.
Wow.
I just don't know what the answer is to any of this, because I see a great deal of relentless lawlessness in regards to the lack of respect in regards to children, not just to their own parents, but to any elders. It's like even in certain levels of dealing with teachers, with civic leaders, just walking the street for no reason, just being disrespectful.
It's an assault on authority.
So let's talk with this. Let's deal with this elephant. And I just want to read some comments. Earl said, kids at school, special ed, telling parents, shut the F up. I'll slap the shit out of you. One student squared off with mom outside. She knocked his dumb ass out. Black single mothers don't do timeouts. Word up. Earl said, white people walking kids on leashes now. Shit different.
Yeah. Like dog leashes.
Yo, we do that. They'll throw us under the jail. Earl said, I've been spit on and punched whole trays of food dumped on me, chairs and brooms thrown at me over my 25 years special ed. Oh my God. Shit different. Wow. A parent told me, you touch my son, I'm going to slap the shit out of you, out of your big ass. And Earl, he must admit it. He talking about your big ass. Listen, that's crazy. Yo, Earl, I hope you're making about $500,000 a year. Because let me tell you something. I never forget when I started working at the Harlem Children's Zone. I was like, the things that the teachers are dealing with, these little kids talking back. I'm not used to no little slick mouth kid, man. Kids was like, what? Da, da, da. Yo. I went home. I teetoed up hard, yo. Let me say, I teetoed up hard because listen. So now you have a mindset. And Kevin, I had some videos I wanted to show the guys tonight. I don't want to bother Malika because she's working on some stuff, but I wanted to show some videos in lieu of the culture, because when we talk about the culture is 360 all the way around. We have people that get on certain jobs and have a mindset. You know what I'm saying? We have to, and I think Rich, I don't know if we talked about that earlier. We talked about changing the culture. So we have to start at home. That's how we got on this. We got to stay at home. But now I go back to that question I asked everybody earlier. If we could stop violence, would you sacrifice your kids getting stopped, a little harassed? Because the bottom line is, I don't know who. I can't say I got her. I don't know when I got harassed, because harassment was always there to be harassed. But sometimes we always thought it was unjust, the good kid getting stopped and searched and you didn't stop the guys that were on the corner and they've been there for 12 hours. You know what I'm trying to say? Or you see that officer that you know, he show you shake hands with somebody, and next thing you know, he'll pull you down the block. Yo, I saw you you shake hands or shake, because I know him. That's what people do. Anybody, you shake hands. I never forget. Person said to me, he said, yo, stop me. Officer stopped me one time. It was like, yo, I said, I live down the block. He said, well, I saw you come out this building. I was like, came to see this girl I went to school with. You know, there's a drug prone location. I said, I live here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
what is it to do? So it's like the gift and the curse, the damned and the damned. I think I say this all the time. I think the culture, it won't stop until all of us are gone. I mean, hopefully Real Talk Chronicles will be done by somebody, you know, it'll be passed down to somebody else. Because I don't know if we'll ever be here. And Rich, you said you didn't think you lived to see a black president. And we got into that discussion, like, yeah, but to change the culture, you have to change the mindset of the people. You know, it's not about political parties. Sometimes people take sides and make it worse. You know what I'm trying to say? You can't tell me that a Republican can't be a good police officer, just like a Democrat can't be a bad officer. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Chuck and I have seen good officers that are white, just as we've seen maybe black officers like I won't go through a door with him, or a Latin officer. Like I said, I went paintballing. And I got kicked out the game twice by a Latin guy. And I'm like, yo, we on the same team. He was like, yo, I'm sorry, friendly fire. The fuck, man? I paid to play too. You know what I'm saying? I got paid. So we have to learn, like my man John Cross, we talk all the time. You know, I've seen John out there working in the street. He was a total gentleman. Did what he had to do if he had to do it, but he was a total gentleman. I've worked with some gentlemen, some white guy that was some real gentlemen, but I go through the door with them. They're going to get accused just for being white. They're going to get accused just for being white. So, you know, is it fair? Now, what's crazy is I've seen some officers in here in these chat groups that we're in spewing some crazy shit. And then I'm like, how are you able to do your job now? You know what I'm trying to say, Chuck? And what I'm trying to say, yeah. Rich? How are you able to do your job? Because you're saying some real volatile, disrespectful stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, even if we just talk about Black Lives Matter, you're deviating from the cause. You know what I'm saying? If you denounce Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group, or you talk about Malcolm X was a terrorist, Martin Luther King was a terrorist, Malcolm X was everybody was a terrorist. The Black Panthers were terrorists. But nobody white did anything. David Duke can run for office, and you know what I'm saying? So we have to find out. We have to cleanse ourselves. It's like a purge. We have to purify. And you know, I'm going to ask Pastor. Maybe Rich, I might get you on and something. Chuck, if you ever want to come, I'm going to ask Pastor from a biblical standpoint. What is happening out here right now? Because it's like we're purging ourselves. I mean, thoughts, comments.
Bill, man, you got to see the inequality with what you're talking about, right? I mean, those people stormed the Capitol, and law enforcement was in front, and nobody busted a shot. If that was the Black Panthers or any Black Lives Matter that did that same thing, you telling me they wouldn't have laid them motherfuckers out?
No, I'm agreeing with you that we know.
But this is my point. If you're going to talk justice, law enforcement, trying to keep order, that's not just exclusive to us. That's across the board. And what's happening is people of color are seeing the injustice and inequality with how we're dealt with.
Rich, this is what I'm trying to say. We've been seeing inequality before you and I was born. It's been told of us. So
we living in an era where these kids ain't going for it. They not going for it.
But why they not going for it, Rich? because the laws have been changed to tell them that they don't have to go for it. Listen, and the bottom line is, I'm not justifying kids.
But you're saying the laws have been changed for them to not, so you're saying they should go for it?
No, don't put words in my mouth.
No, I'm asking because you're saying they're not going for it because the laws are changed. I'm telling you they're not going for it because they're tired of seeing the same shit over and over again. Black people getting laid out unjustly. Like I told Kevin, we always showing these footages about, you know, this and that, and the argument is, oh, you know, it's what would you do if you was a cop and all that? And I'm like, okay, show me this shit when they do the same thing to white people. Don't just keep showing black folks getting in these situations, and then we got to talk about, oh, you got to understand if you was a cop, it's, you know, okay, I'll go with that if you start showing me some white folks too.
Well, listen, the video I was going to show tonight. The video I was going to show tonight was a white officer disrespecting a white man.
No, but I said equality, meaning if you're going to show me one black, show me one white.
Rich,
every time we do this.
Rich, you know what you're asking for? You're asking me like the
I'm asking for equality.
But you're not going to get it. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's fair.
Why not? But the question is, why not? I don't deserve equality.
No, the question is, how can we get it? It's not why not. We already know why not.
By giving it.
How are we? What equality can go? Listen, Rich, you can go into a store and not be treated fair on a. Listen, we understand how racism is. We understand how people can view other people, right?
And we agree that it's unjust, right? That it's wrong, right?
Absolutely,
It's causing a particular group of people pain, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you measure someone's pain and how they should react to it? That's all I'm saying.
No, you can't
tell somebody how to react to injustices that have been done to them. You say, oh, well, I know that happened, but you shouldn't do it that way, you know?
So give me a solution, because we definitely agree there's a problem. What's the solution?
The solution is, like I was saying before, just like we talk about how in our community, we need to start stepping up. Parents need to start stepping up and deal with a lot of stuff that's going on internally before it gets external. Right?
Well, we said that earlier.
So that's the same thing with the police. Y'all got to start dealing with y'all shit internally and stop these motherfuckers from doing that, because they're not letting you do that to theirs.
Chuck, I told Rich, I had a story. Rich and I was talking about this, and I told him, I said, save it for Wednesday. I said, Chuck and I are working together, right? Because you can pick who you work with unless somebody's on vacation for the most part, or, you know, they're shorthanded. You can kind of pick. So Chuck and I want to work in a sector. So Chuck and I, we want to work in a sector. Why? Because maybe we're black. We want to relate. We can work in a sector because I know I grew up with him, or that's my man. We went through the academy together. Or I just want to work with him because I know he's a good officer, right? It could go the same thing for a white officer, because there have been black and white partners. I know some good ones. Moore and Mole worked in the 2A together. I've seen some good like tandems, right? What I told Rich earlier, and maybe you can elaborate on this, Chuck, for me. If there was a cop that did something, it wasn't done in front of me. So it's not our place to go into the desk, to the desk sergeant, or go to the officer and say, yo, what happened? Did you punch that man in his face when his hands were cuffed? Nobody's doing that, Rich. So I'm just saying, like people, and I had people say this to me all the time. Yo, you people got to speak up. Well, this is why Real Talk is doing this, what it does, trying to enhance people's knowledge of how to interact with law enforcement when they get stopped. Because I had a man tell me one time, say, yo, you telling me I got to tell my son to be a punk when a white man or officer stops him? I said, I didn't tell your son to be a punk. What I told him to do is be a live man and then go handle it differently in court if he has to. Because the bottom line is, the first thing what happens is, what do we get? You're not complying. You're not doing this. The system is not built for people of color or anybody to win. Listen, I wish Kevin didn't have to go. I would show the video. This white cop wrote this white man 3 tickets. And the cop was wrong. The man was going home, but there was a barricade. Something must have been going on in Florida or wherever. He was wrong. He wrote him 3 tickets because he felt he disrespected his uniform and how dare you. You know, there's some people that's ego tripping. I never ego tripped. Listen, I never ego tripped on that blue uniform. That's like me. If I ego tripped on that uniform, that would be me saying, "Yo, I hate when people disrespect, talk shit about the blue." Listen, I told a person one time, it ain't the uniform you see. You better see me because you're looking at the uniform. The uniform is just going to have me step to you because you disrespected. So I think that's why I'm saying it's not going to be here because the bottom line, the culture is the culture. You can't go to the KKK and tell them we want equality. They don't give a fuck about no equality, bro. They don't. So the thing is, they work with us. They'll work with us.
But Bill, nobody's asking you to ask them for something that you're not willing to take. You got to be willing to take your shit.
Tell me how. Because you're giving me doors, but you're not telling me which one to go through.
All right, as a civilian, right? I'm worried about that dude on the corner that's hustling and selling drugs and shooting motherfuckers. I'm worried about him. And who do I depend on to deal with him? You, right?
So when we come,
hold on.
Go ahead.
I'm also depending on you because I'm worried about that fucking road cop, right? You're willing to deal with the nigga on the corner, but you're not willing to deal with him the same way. You got to dance around him.
Okay. See now, hold on. So now,
right?
So now, I understand where you're coming from, but
he gets to be who he is, and you got to deal with him diplomatically, right?
No, that's not necessarily the truth. That's not really true, Richard. That's not the case. No. As Bill made it very clear, there are certain cops that even if, let's say for argument's sake, they were deemed as being heavy-handed, right? Let's say they were heavy-handed. There were certain cops that knew not to behave and to act that way around other fucking cops, period.
Absolutely.
They knew not to do that shit around certain cops. Now, there were certain people that were a part of a clique that, okay, let's say his name was O'Malley. Oh, O'Malley's a good cop no matter what. They wanted to be on his good side because O'Malley was the guy who was bringing in all the collars. But every time he turned around, he was smacking somebody. And they go to a bar, they sit there and they talk shit and they laughing about it. But O'Malley knew good and damn well if he was working or around me, O'Malley knew not to do that shit because I would call him out in the street or we'll go back in the precinct and I'll smack the shit out of him.
Thank you.
There's an element within the precinct itself where there were certain guys that knew better to do certain shit around other people. So they knew who they could and who they couldn't. And I was definitely one of those cops that did not play that shit. Whether you worked with me, whether I was working a foot post, or if someone said something which in fact I felt was inappropriate to anybody on the street, just in terms of putting their hands or starting to cuff them or whatever, somebody interceding.
But Chuck, you talking about you and Bill.
No, but I'm saying that's not myself or Bill.
And watch in person, and now we can see it through social media because the internet is making it possible for us to see it in other states and all over the world for that matter. We are watching police officers stand there while other police officers do shit like that.
Once again, that is put, and guess what? And that's not a bad thing, Rich. I think that's a great thing.
The police department.
No, but once again, that particular exposure puts them on notice. Right now, everyone's held accountable. Where before, yes, there was some type of blue silence when some things happened. People would sit off to the side. It wouldn't make no. There was a particular. Well, now there's a particular culture, right? Prior to this media and video and all this other access, there were cops that would sit off to the side and let O'Malley do his fucking due diligence, smack somebody up, beat the shit out of him, and not say a damn thing. All right? Yes, that's a culture which, in fact, there's always been. There's some who do and some that don't. Some that are tolerated and some that will not tolerate. Now, yes, now media is put and video has put everyone on onus. Everyone is accountable. And guess what? Now police officers are being held accountable when they are standing there and they see excessive force and they do nothing. I mean, we've seen that now. And thank God for video, because now it's putting everyone on notice. You're always being watched. But internally, prior to that, there were certain cops that didn't tolerate that shit. And guess what? And when they spoke up, their locker got turned upside down. They ended up getting into fights in the no, meet me in the parking lot. There were fist fights. I remember beating 3 fucking cops because I stepped to them and told them certain shit. So, man, we can handle this like men. Let's go to the fucking parking lot and handle this. And when I beat your ass in front of your boys, you'll think twice. And yes, I beat up 3 fucking. I almost got suspended for fucking somebody up in the bathroom because they did some shit that I said, no, I don't tolerate that shit. You do this shit around me. Well, who the fuck are you, rookie? I'm gonna tell you, I'm the cat from Harlem. That's gonna bust your fucking ass. That's who I am. Just because of the fact, you know what I mean? So there are certain cops.
But I respect that. But what I'm
that.
saying to you, you think there's enough of that going on?
No, honestly, I mean, look, I can't tell you what people's biases are or how they look and how they view things. I'm saying now that based on the fact that video and body cams and all this shit is out here, their mindset has to change. They got no choice. Now they're being held accountable, whether you're a bystander watching someone being violated or if you're the one that's violating someone. So I'm glad that the body cameras and the video is there, whether it's on their body or not. This is now holding everyone accountable, even supervisors. They step on the scene and they don't take any corrective measures, knowing that somebody did something inappropriate. The job is going to burn them because of that, because no one wants to be put in the newspaper for not taking the appropriate action or appropriate measures when it comes now to the community.
But you know how many cases that we've seen body cam where guys got shot and the cops got off.
Brother, once again, that's the judicial system. I'm not trying to say it's perfect. That's the judicial system. You see very clearly. You get a good lawyer, and he's able to look at it and be able to speak and be articulate and make that video look a different way, change the narrative associated with it. Well, that's what defense attorneys get paid to do, right? That's what they get paid to do. They get paid to look at something and to go against the prosecution and hope to God that their kung fu is better than their kung fu. And then a jury, it goes to a jury,
but it's not a jury. Usually, it's a judge. The judge is the one, because you have a right to
either get a jury or a judge.
I want a judge, right?
Right.
And a lot of times, those cases are done by judges, and they let them off because they say, oh, okay, well, this is what it looks like to me, and then the public is feeling like, yo, here we go again. You know,
no, I get that. I get that. I understand that totally.
Walk, you know, but the thing is you see a sea of police officers, and I'm not talking about you and Bill. I'm talking about you'll see law enforcement like this, standing by, whatever happened, whether it was right or wrong, y'all standing like this.
Let me interject for a second, Rich.
I'm talking about from the public's perception.
I know. No, let me just interject for a second, because there are John and Jane Hugh Publics listening to this, and I got some comments I want to read too. And it's just as we got some law enforcement out here too listening. There's a culture, and the police department, FD, certain jobs, transit, corrections. There's a culture that it's a brotherhood, right? A lot of times the powers that be weren't people of color. Now, I'm not justifying anything. I'm just giving you an ideology, insight. Everybody wants to kiss the sergeant's ass. Everybody wants to kiss the lieutenant's ass, the captain's ass, right? That's just the way it goes up the ranks. I'm sure Chuck can sit here and tell you, you know, when he became a sergeant, people, if he was on the desk, come back, somebody might just come and bring him coffee. He didn't even ask, but once they knew he liked a certain kind of coffee or something. Listen, there are people before you left the desk. Sarge, you want anything? Lou, you want something? Right, Chuck? I mean, am I lying to right? Because you're playing nice with the bosses, right? There's a certain time there were not really many bosses of color. So if you were a piece of shit as a police officer, you think you were a piece of shit. Exactly. And as you went up the ranks, you became more and more of a piece of shit because you had more power. And then people would galvanize around you. So then, like Chuck said, once you go to if you go out and have a beer or a bar, and now you're talking shop. And if you start talking, if I talk with Rich talk, or if I'm the boss, or Rich, you the boss, and I hear you say some shit like, yeah, those fucking animals, savages, I hate all the moolies and this and whatever, those blacks, Spanish, whoever, white trash. If you feel the same way, you won't spew it. And if even if you don't feel the same way, you might spew it, right?
Or you may not say anything at all, which is just as bad.
Right.
Just standing and saying nothing, knowing that what you're hearing is something you're totally opposed to, but just standing there and hearing it and not saying something about it, that's just as bad. I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but you're right, because the thing is, we see a lot of people. Now, listen, the news perpetrates a perpetual cycle. We see a lot of times people of color doing a lot of dumb stuff. But I could show you videos. You can see Asians, whites fighting and bashing each other upside the head. You know what I'm saying? In Cracker Barrel, I think it was someplace, there were people bashing the other side of the head because somebody got mad because they thought the person skipped the line and took his state. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't white people, they weren't black people. So things like this are happening, but we of people of color are highlighted. Now, are we doing a lot of dumb shit too? Absolutely. So now we're feeding the fire, like we're just putting the coals and the rocks on the smoke, on the fire.
Why do you say that though? Because you just pointed out the fact how all the different cultures do it.
Because
we feeding the fire that everybody else is feeding that same fire, but we get dealt with different, which is my point.
But that's the media. But let me tell you something. The media is not showing two white guys fighting on Bensonhurst or Bay Ridge or Howard Beach. They're not showing that. What they're showing,
and they don't show the footage at Yankee Stadium and the Knicks game, how they get pissy drunk, standing there in suit and ties and acting like animals.
Absolutely. They're not showing that. What do they say when blacks and young blacks and Latins go out to South Beach? Oh, they're acting like animals. But when they win a game at Penn State and they burn the cars and bash the windows and to flip the car open, oh, it's just a party got a little out of control. So we understand the media has a stake in this narrative, but the bottom line is, if no black or Latin person committed a crime for 1 week, what would there be to report? Ukraine and Russia and COVID.
But instead, you got 29 freaking people getting shot or over the weekend, and unfortunately, people that are pulling the triggers are our own people. Unfortunately, it's us.
Yeah.
And we as a people, we need to check first. We need to change first, or historically, unfortunately, right? Historically, we have certain grassroots that are ingrained in this country and across the world in terms of just being black all together. So we all understand very clearly that culture is always going to be there. We're always going to have to fight for that or whatever we want or how we want to be treated in terms of equality, regardless of what laws are passed. But when we as a community depict our women as hoes and bitches, and we have guys that are on TV constantly showing these negative viewpoints associated with our community, with how we view each other, how we view our queens and the women on TV, all we're doing is we're just adding fuel to that fire, and we're just manifesting the same pervasive cycle that they already think of us. Why are we feeding into that? Because it's something which, in fact, because the media, they believe that, or let's say people who are who are in show business or who are music moguls says, no, you need to portray yourself with the hoes and the bitches and calling women this and acting out and drinking 40s and all this shit. Why? Oh, because it sells? No. We have to say very clearly that is not how we wish to represent ourselves, because the biases and the stereotypes that have already been created from this country, we sometimes just end up adding to it and giving them more of a reason for us to behave and to be treated that way.
I agree with you. But the people
it's just not law enforcement. Right. It's not just law enforcement, it's across the board. We have to reinvent ourselves as a community, showing that we are not just animals and we just run around doing. No, we are a people of strength, and that's where the breakdown is.
We selling out to the bag. They say you can have this money if you act like this and do like that, because at the end of the day, the people that control that narrative don't look like us. They're the same ones that wouldn't let our face be on an album cover because we look black. Right. So whenever we had a record, that record didn't have our face on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they put flowers or some shit like that out there and then played the record, right? But now they put our face on it and they promote that kind of music and paying us to put our face on it and put that out there and say, here, I give you this much money and you do that. So you got guys that are in position to make some money and sell out their culture.
Exactly.
And they're willing to do it. And then those same guys get looked up to for doing that.
Mm-hmm. And then they wonder why,
a lot of shit that's going on, we got to deal with.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of what we need to start to look at ourselves as a community, man.
Yeah.
We really need to take a good hard look at how we look and how we view each other as a people, and especially the way we view our women, the way we treat our women, the things we say to our women. That shit's got to freaking stop, because that's where it starts from. And you wonder why sometimes they're not trying to take anything culturally based. You want, oh, you're sitting on the sideline. You want to, oh, why the sister with a white man? You know why she's with a white man or why she's with an Asian? All right, maybe they fell in love, maybe based on, but we as a culture has made it very clearly, even on television, based on, we have done things to disrespect our women in so many ways. What do you want them to fucking do? I'm sorry.
Well, you know,
can't blame them.
That part, you know, I mean, if you go there with it, you know, a white man and white women have proven to be cause more damage than what's going on.
And guess what? And no more different than any other culture. But the thing that we have done is,
so how do we identify that as being friend or option, so to speak? You know, I don't get that, you know, in that argument. You know what I'm saying? No,
I get that. I understand. But once again, even within each culture and each race, right? There's good and bad. No matter what. I don't care what the color is. It's the character of the individual. That's what I'm looking at.
Exactly.
It's the character of the individual. It doesn't make a difference what their color is. And we as black men, as a black community, keep showing our character, saying X, Y, and Z about our women and acting like fucking assholes, then I'm sorry. Someone is going to go and to appeal and be with someone else who has a better or farther, more cleaner or more clear character, because they want to be appreciated.
Well, we got to be at the table and in the room when they decide to put that on TV, that we say, oh, whoa, wait a minute. We're not doing that. We're not putting that out there. So until we get in that room and want to make that decision that that's not what we want to portray with my culture, we're not doing that.
But you know, talking about the music too, like not to mention any names, you hear about rappers or that are so gangster, but their kids are going to private schools. But they'll come back to Harlem and stand on the corner and roll up a blunt and smoke it in front of people. Why? Because they're living an image. You know what I'm saying? If you so bad and you that dude, send your kid to the public school that everybody else's kids go to school. You know what I'm saying? And let's see if your name really ring them kind of bells. You understand what I'm saying? Don't send your kid to a private school somewhere else in Jabip, and then now all of a sudden you come back to Harlem or wherever you rep, what city you from, and now you sitting here smoking weed on the corner, talking about I'm about that life. No, you're not. You know you're not. If you're about that life, then be about that life. Move back into projects. Really be about that life. Don't live somewhere with five.
No, what was that rap group that bought their project?
Are you talking about Wu-Tang? I don't know.
No, it wasn't Wu-Tang. It was one of them with Lil Wayne in them. What was that crew called?
Cash Money.
Cash Money. They brought the projects that they lived in.
Things like that can happen. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, they did that. They bought it.
Let me read some comments real quick. A lot of people chiming in. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-hosts, Kevin, Chuck, and Rich. Rich, Chuck, and Kevin. Chuck, Kevin, Rich. I throw it out like that. And exactly. I give them all, everybody get a top bill in one time. You know, Kev had to step away for some family stuff. But like Marilyn said on YouTube, she said, take your host as an example. He literally takes all the downfall and criticism for white folks. He does. And I tell people all the time, I've tried to get so many different white people to come on this show from either standpoint. I remember I had my old high school guy, Bill, come on, and he damn near I wanted to jump through this screen and grab his ass when he was talking about I didn't know if George Floyd was really wrong or right. And I was like, see now, but I'm glad you're showing that. But you know what he says? Well, yo, you know, like my child, I have, you know, my wife is black or whatever. It don't make a damn if your ideology is still what it is, because you have biracial kids and you still think a certain way. It doesn't mean a damn thing. So
Thomas Jefferson had biracial kids too.
Exactly, word.
Mm-hmm.
So then she also says, if we're going to join as one, you know, then I think she said Kets. She said, if we're going to join as one, then there she go. If we're going to join as one, then let's start as looking at one another, men and women. Absolutely. Let me read some of the comments for YouTube. Norm Davis said the Locks brought their property in Yonkers too.
Right.
Yes, Stefania, I'm trying to read. I'm gonna read these comments, Stefania. I got you. Earl, like you said, modern day minstrel show. You know exactly. Chuck Lude said the madness has to stop at greed and change in need. Norman said we are killing each other, so whites are if they're killing each other, why can't I? Yeah, some people really feel that way. You know, it's a shame. Rodell Glover, what's going on, brother? Yeah, New York City is out of control. Earl DeLeslie said, yeah, 42 shots killed Amadou Diallo. I was there that night. You know what I'm saying? Used to work with one of the guys that shot him. Listen, I worked with Kenny Balls in the 2-8. I worked with Oliver that shot Sean Bell 50, you know, part of that 50 shots with Oliver. I mean, with Sean Bell. You know, Oliver seemed like a nice guy. You know,
he was a pretty boy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was a pretty boy.
He was in Manhattan North too, I think, right?
Yeah. He was in Manhattan North, yeah.
Yeah, nice guy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Nice guy.
You know, Boss was a little cynical, you know what I'm saying? But you know,
did you get to watch that documentary I told you?
No, tell everybody the documentary you're talking about so everybody can watch it. We don't have
it's on Netflix right now. It's called 136 Shots. How police officers chased down a car that backfired, and they thought that he had fired.
Oh yes, I did see that. I did watch it. Yeah, the cops chased the car down, and then they end up shooting the people in the car, right?
The man and the woman. They were both crackheads. And they were running from the police, getting high, and they finally stopped them. And the cops that were there, I believe it was 11 or 12 of them, and they fired 136 shots into the car. And the last cop to do it, to shoot, he shot 40 shots, 45 shots, I believe. He jumped in the hood of the car and let 2 clips off in the front windshield.
Yeah, my man Kenny Harris told me to see that before you did. I thought I saw that story. I had so much going on.
Yeah, I was hoping that at some point we talked about that.
Well, you know what? We'll give everybody a little homework assignment, and we'll try to see if everybody can watch that next week. Everybody, if you get a chance,
that was crazy. Movie.
Yo, Kenny, if you can type the name of that into the podcast, so everybody can kind of check that out.
136 shots.
Like my man Earl said, he said, sounds like my 4 tickets. High Yellow Cat gave me. You were able to distinguish it. Absolutely. He'll tell you. Little officer, state trooper gave my man 4 tickets, kind of abused his story. I know my man Earl right here is not an easy person to get along with, but you know what I'm saying? but I don't think he deserved 4 tickets. You know, I mean, he had a pacifier. He had a card if he would have shown it earlier. But, you know, personalities sometimes, and that's why we got to understand, and I tell people, your personality is not going to ever win against that blue uniform. Now, this body cam will show if you're right or wrong. And let me tell you something. I've seen officers justify the most outrageous stuff that I can't believe how you could articulate it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, there are officers right now that are saying that white officer that shot that elderly black lady in the Bronx that had a baseball bat and she was mentally ill after she was already in her apartment, and then he went back in and came back out and he shot her in a small hallway of her kitchen. There are officers that really agree, like, yo, she had a bat. He's justified. So now that's just an absolute. Yeah, we understand if a person has used deadly force against you with a dangerous instrument, you can shoot them. But come on, you telling me a young man you can't beat a 60, 69-year-old woman or how old she was? Come on, you could have threw some water in her face. You know what I'm trying to say? You know,
I mean, there's definitely other ways he could have addressed it, right? He's got mace, he's got everything else. Why you need to go, freaking
Chuck,
full
you know what
throttle?
he could have did? He could have made and I say this, with no disrespect to anybody that may know the family, he could have just closed the door and held the door and let her keep pulling on it.
Well, that's what I would prefer.
No, you know what
I
I'm trying to
stay
say?
contained. Yeah, I stay contained. She's in the room. Close the freaking door.
So that brings the question: why is it okay to shoot her if you have an option like that?
Well, because
go ahead,
Chuck,
once again, it has to do with it sounds, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but it all has to do with two things. One, the officer's state of mind, depending, right, and two, their ability to think quickly in regards to an issue associated with someone coming at them with a bat. So let's say for me,
but where's the training at?
No, once again, they've been trained, but it's up to that officer's discretion. It's where his level of stress or what his faculty be able to think quickly based on a situation. I would have done. She's walked into a room. She's got a bat. There's a door. I'd close the fucking door. All right, call ESU. Let her bang and whatever she got to do. And when she calms down, we'll go and get her. Unfortunately, this officer didn't think that way. All right.
No, but Chuck, I'm saying to you is, what does the training say that you say that if a person opts to shoot you, that's legit, as opposed to what you're saying? Because it seems like if you're going to go through training in scenarios, that you would say that, okay, if this happens, your objective is to keep yourself safe, and disrupt this by just closing the door.
Okay.
Right.
Once again, like I said, every officer is trained, but what a person does at that time, depending on where their mindset is or their biases or their inability, they're going to react. So what I would do, because of me being, let's say for argument's sake, I'm a seasoned veteran, I see somebody, and one of the first things that's in that book is that when you have the opportunity to isolate and contain someone who's emotionally disturbed.
So how is shooting them okay then?
Because go ahead, Chuck, please.
No, go ahead, brother. You can tell.
Because she had a bat. So that's what he in that officer's mind supersedes and indemnifies him, because the bottom line is she had a bat.
So isolation go out the window.
Well, the bottom line is, can he get brought up on departmental charges for not proper following procedures? Absolutely. But criminally, he's not going to get, because he was found just not guilty. In court, I think he was just found not guilty in court, because it says, in dealing with anybody with a dangerous weapon or instrument, you can use force to match force. You know what I'm saying, Rich? So listen, now there's probably everybody in this world, and this is where you were talking about, Rich, why officers are not coming out speaking up against it. There's white officers, there's black officers, there's Spanish officers, Asian officers that feel like that officer, that sergeant dropped the ball. Like, it's so funny. And he probably one of them dudes that'll go in the gym and pump 10 reps at 200 pounds, bang, 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 bang. But you can't wrestle a 67-year-old or 68-year-old woman. That's why people are looking at him like you soft. Now, does anybody want to work with him after that? Absolutely not. Nobody wants to work with him like after that. But the thing is, nobody's going to come out and, like you're saying, publicly and stand there, a bunch of whites and blacks and Spanish officers, 50 strong, and say, we denounce that. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that.
Hey, I understand, like, if you working and somebody catch you off guard with a bat and they're about to crack you, or with a knife and they're about to stab you, so you opt, okay, jump back and pop, okay. But I'm talking about just standing there threatening you. That's not force against force. That's a threat against, all right, let me just close, like the lady that they went to the house to serve the papers. And she slammed the door. And he went and called the troops, and they bum rusted in the house. And all he came to do was serve papers, which he wound up doing. And he was mad because she slammed the door on him. And she had a knife in her house. And they came back, bum rushed her. She reacted, chased him out of the house, and they did it in the hallway. Bop, 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 bop.
Rich, like I'll say it again. There might be 1,000 officers. We'll just take a poll out of 1,000 officers, and you'll ask them all in the precinct or wherever they work at, do you think certain things were right or wrong? And they say no. What's that common word, Chuck, when something happens to an officer? They'll say, oh, yo, he fucked up. You know what I'm saying? but they're not going out and saying it in public. They're not going to say it to you. They're not going to say it to somebody. They may say it to their best friend. Like, listen, that's cops do not talk against other cops. They'll let the internal investigations or the judicial system take them down, but cops are not going to talk about the system. Those laws are not written for the people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people, let's not be delusional.
Okay, but all right. I'm gonna say, okay, I got that. I understand, and I do. I understand that part, right? But what I'm trying to get you to understand is what the public feels, right? Because that's on that side of it. But on the side of it where that happens to you and can potentially happen to you at any given moment, how are they supposed to live with that and understand with it? Like, oh, okay, well, then shit, that's the way it is.
Well, let me just say that. I understand because, you know, like I tell any officer to this day, anybody that's ever worked with me, I have so many comments. Everybody, I apologize for not reading them all. I'll try to read them before we get out of here. I'm only going to give us 4 more minutes because we had a late start, so I'll give us another like 4 minutes, or maybe 5, 10. I say all that to say that I've never let my uniform overtake my skin. You understand what I'm trying to say? So
I can still hear. I got to do something real quick.
Right. I've never, you know what I'm saying, Chuck? Like, we've never denounced our skin tone.
But guess what? It's not that as if we could. Not them saying there weren't certain cops that all of a sudden was like, "My man, you sure you brother? Because the way you're acting, it's as if you're trying to pretty much devalue yourself in order to fit in with these cats.
Yeah.
Because you want to be a part of that clique, you know. And so, you know, and some of us stood up very clearly, knowing who we are, and stuck beside what our color was. And yet there was some of us that sold out because we just wanted to fit in. We wanted to be a part of that clique. We wanted to be a part of that group of guys that went out after work and drank beers until freaking 4 or 5 in the morning, you know? And I get that.
And this is not to denounce any good officer or any other ethnicity. We're not saying that. But the bottom line is, if you don't alienate yourself from the problem, then you become the problem, because you're going to eventually do what that person deems is right. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's when you start looking, and you're going to get ostracized from that. And you got to live with that. A lot of times, if you're not in power, you don't have the power to do things like that. So, you know, that in lies the problem. Let me just read some of the comments real quick. Let's see. Earl said, point blank and simple, brothers. Until other people treat us better, respect us better, love us better, we will never be seen as regular people. So we will continue to get abused, harassed, beat, disrespected, and treated like second-class citizens. You want to be treated fairly, start treating each other another better, more courteous, with more brotherly love, period. Stefania said, also, today's Black culture that's promoted and more on the trashy side. They promote hypersexuality for the women and scanning and illegal activities for the men. Then you add the obsession with appearance, from BBLs to wearing labels at the extent of selling on oneself or committing crime is a multi-layered problem. Absolutely. Earl also said, he said what they said before is true. Let people patrol their own neighborhood when applicable. Definitely each and weary brother or sister who stormed the Capitol would have been distinguished. Shit different, upright, brother, equality. Absolutely. Jason also said, he said, I wish my 10-year-old would disrespect an adult. Her ass would be sore for a week. Absolutely. Nate said, I'm an adolescent teen psychotherapist. These kids are really effed up and angry. Wow. What's up, Phil? I see you watching. You know, everybody, listen. Donna Hayes, I saw you in the building. I'm sorry. There's so many different layers to this, and we could talk about these in a series of shows because the bottom line is we don't have the solution. We can sit here and each give some kind of therapy or theory on it, therapy and theory on it. The one thing it is, we need community. We need people to come up, grow up with a different ideology. Listen, it's just like the movie American X. And I'm not talking about the violence, but what I'm talking about is when Ed Norton was sitting at the table with his father, that was the firefighter, I think he was. And he was just saying about affirmative action. I don't believe in affirmative action. I had a friend of mine right now that we're Facebook friends and told me about he didn't agree with affirmative action. He lost out on a position in the police department for somebody of color. Get the F out of here. I told him he was bat crazy. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell. I told him, don't tell me that shit. Don't be ridiculous. And then we have people, but in that movie, and I think that was such a powerful movie, American History X. And I'm not trying to promote anything else other than Real Talk Chronicles, but right now, please, if you ever get a chance, if you haven't seen that, watch that movie because that movie was powerful. And his father was sitting at the table, and what do we all learn about what our parents taught us, and then until we're old enough to make up our own minds. But then some people don't make up their own minds. Some people are stuck in the mentality. You know what I'm trying to say? And then the thing is, I like it sometimes. I think it's disrespectful. What up, HT in the building, Harold Thomas? I like it when some of the officers have talked to me and divulged. And I never would go to them to the rackets and the bars that everybody socialized with, because I may do it once, and I did it once every blue moon, because I just wanted to hear what they talk about. They feel comfortable and and start drinking, and then they get propeller lips. I never forget one time two friends of mine, we were in narcotics, and they went to this bar. Chuck, you may know it, in the 50 precinct, up there, right near the precinct, the little hole in the wall, dive bar. White guy, right? Drinking with I think they were undercovers at the time, or they were switching, Spanish guy, black guy. And I think he called them the N-word or called them mutts and some kind of stuff like that, was drinking. So then that's when everybody was like, "Whoa, yo, chill." Like, so then later on he apologizes. He wouldn't have had to apologize if it was me, because I would have took my sorry. I would have slapped his face across that bar.
Right.
And then they would have said, "Bill, he's drunk." Well, I'm drunk too. How about that? When I drink, I just start busting ass. You know what I'm saying? I start kicking ass and kicking ass.
You're just a fucking violent motherfucker.
But you know what's so funny?
Looking for a reason to whip a nigga's ass.
But you ain't gonna sit there and I looked at the dudes and I was like, "Yo, you let him call? Yeah. See, you make it bad for me, and then I become the bad guy because he'll never drink with me, but I want him to, because he'll get a little juicy with the lips." And I got him from there. Now, let me tell you how, and I'm going to say this is karma. I don't wish bad on this man, right? And he became a sergeant doing the whole Black Lives protest in New York. And then when they were infiltrated and stuff like that, and then that car hit that sergeant in the Bronx and ran him over and hit him and knocked him up in the air out of the 4.6 Chuck, I think, of the 4.4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was him?
That was him.
Whoa.
Now, he cool with me. And I don't wish Billy any bad. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? He was a nice guy to me. But he had no choice to be. You're going to be nice to me. You understand what I'm saying? But I didn't break bread with you. So I never got a chance to hear all that slip of the tongue. Because slip of the tongue is no fault of the mind to me. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if I ain't calling a woman out her name, if I'm drinking and I start calling out her name, that's how I really feel about her. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real.
Right.
People get delusional and stuff and try to make things different. Let's call a spade a spade. If you ain't been calling a woman out her name, and then all of a sudden now, when you start drinking, she's an itch and a oh, come on, that's how you honestly feel about her, bro.
And that's
You know
what I think that kind of like also feeds into the adage: things said in jest are said in truth.
Absolutely.
So you're sitting there, and you all of a sudden now you find, oh, maybe because I've been drinking, or I was tired, I didn't mean to say what I said. No, that's been a matter or an issue that you've felt, and that's your truth. So saying things in jest is saying things in truth, and we all have to be mindful of that. But if you all of a sudden decide that now you gotta, you all of a sudden start drinking, oh, it was a Freudian slip. You called her a bitch. No, you always thought she was a bitch.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And now, just in touche, before we get out of here, I'm gonna let Rich and you have some positive affirmation, and Chuck. There's been times the way we joke with each other. It's only listen. We all be brought up on EEO charges right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was one thing to have that banter with a white officer, and and he'll call me a black this, and I'll call him a little pencil joint white guy, a little, you know what I'm saying? Or he was like, yeah. You at 8, but I'd be like, yo, your mama like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we do the dozens now. There was times that you do the dozens with the white guys and the Spanish guys, and we say the most disrespectful stuff. We'd be like, yo, you're like, Jose, is that your aunt on East Tremont selling oranges right before she get on the highway? You know what I'm saying?
You dead wrong, bro.
No, listen, Rich, what I'm telling you, the shit we used to say to each other, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was made for TV. That's why when people ask me what police show that reminds you most of law enforcement, it's Barney Miller. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, a lot of people don't know what you talk about, man. I do.
Man.
Well,
listen, if anybody over here over 50, they know about Barney Miller. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get right out here. Marilyn said it's okay for another to get juicy with the lips, as long as you know how to educate and aggressive and accordingly matter. We all are human and weak. Yes, listen, let me tell you something. Marilyn, you're right. Juicy lip. What's it? What my man B Cosby said in Saturday Uptown Saturday night. He said, "Juicy lips sing ships." You know what I'm saying? Where's Geechee Dan Buford? You know what I'm saying? Yo, he said, yo. But like he told Little Seymour and Little Percy, he said, he ain't talking about your mama. That was an automatic answer. But you talk about something about my mama when he was listen. Yo, Rich, Chuck, this is about that time because we got a late start. Give us some positive affirmation, and then everybody tomorrow. If you remember Mr. Smarkle Entertainment, D. Williams, I will interview him. Legends and Promotions, a special edition, the Real Talk promotional Legends and Promotion. We'll be back here Monday with I think Pastor Graves. If not, like I said, we need to find out on a biblical standpoint, a spiritual walk, what's going on in our world. Because let me tell you something, I need to find out, is this in the Bible? So with that being said, I'm always appreciative of Chuck, Kevin, and Rich. Kevin was here earlier. He had to take care of some personal business. And we got Rich and got Chuck, and we got Chuck and we got Rich. So Rich, take us out, say something nice to people or whatever you want to tell them, and then Chuck, and then we can close it out, brother.
Oh man, go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something, Rich.
Well, I'm about to drive out of here, man.
So Chuck, all of a sudden,
look at this.
All right. I'm about to get out of here.
Yo, Chuck, any other time you can't stop him. I'll be on the background.
No, go ahead, Chuck. You gotta do it.
Now all of a sudden, go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead, Chuck.
I'm about to go arrest somebody.
Listen.
Oh my God, man.
No, listen.
Now, let me stop fucking with y'all.
Ralph Tresvant didn't give the mic to Johnny Gill that easy. Why are you giving it up? No.
I just told you I'm going to get out of here.
You saw what David Ruffin told Otis? He said, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Come on, man. You see my vehicle? I'm about to get up out of here. I got to get on duty. What the fuck is wrong with you, man?
Word. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Oh, my God,
you ain't no cop, James.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Oh,
I don't think we need to say anything. I think that did it, man. That's it. Good night.
Yo,
hey, listen, man. I appreciate y'all bringing me on this show. Let me disrupt shit, because my mother's always told me 2 against 1, 3 against 1 ain't never been fair. So I gotta always try to get my opinion in there because I got 3 of you motherfuckers jumping me.
You ain't no cop, Jay Reed. You know what I'm saying? You ain't no cop, Jay Reed.
But yo, man, it's a pleasure being allowed to come on the show and speak my truth.
Word.
And I mean, I love you guys.
Love you too, brother.
Yeah, definitely, man. Love you, man.
Yeah. Anybody?
That's all, man.
Go extend the offer. Anybody want to come on? You see, we have shits and giggles too. We laugh. We have some jokes. We try to keep it serious and light, but you know, you got to blend it in. Thank you for the love and the hearts. Send up some hearts and some thumbs for. I don't know if these brothers want some hearts, but you can send out some thumbs for these cats or whatever. I see the laugh. So you see, we having a good old time. But yeah, sometimes, man, we got to get y'all on here. You know,
you got to get some more white boys, though, man.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
At least get us a light-skinned Puerto Rican, man.
Yo, listen.
You know when Puerto Rican take a pass for white, you know.
Listen. I tried. Listen, let me just tell you on a serious note. There are so many, I'm sure, Chuck's friends, my friends, your friends, Rich, that can watch this. But some people are not really ready to come out and step out. And that goes back to what you're saying. Because if somebody comes out, and you've all heard me say this to Kevin. Stefania, I know you've heard me say this, and people have heard me say this. Chuck, you heard me say it. I said, Kevin, how many friends did you lose once you started doing this podcast with me? Mm-hmm. Because the bottom line is you speak out. I appreciate you for taking it. But, you know, anybody that go up into the mountains every damn weekend and play with the rocks, I guess he don't give a damn who like him or not. You know what I'm saying? As long as he's one with the eagle. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I can get some white people to come on here.
Huh?
I can get some white people to come on, but Bill, you got to stop talking about how you going to fuck people up for saying
Yo, listen.
You be typing motherfuckers.
Listen.
Well, come on here and speak their truth, but you talk about you go.
Well, listen. I'm not gonna let nobody talk reckless to me, and he ain't got a good dental plan. Listen, at this age, I'm talking about everything in the past. I mean, listen, damn, if at this age I'm still trying to punch. If I got to punch somebody in the mouth today, then I'm around the wrong person. Listen, trust me, I'm not doing that. I'm on a peace mission from God.
That's why you got that hoodie on tonight. Don't
call it. Listen,
you got your Skittles?
Yo, listen.
Oh wow.
Yo, listen. Even in Assassin's Creed, they was playing around in the church, but then all of a sudden he put that hood on. Mm-hmm. Listen, but no, I always tell us about stories in the past, and I always say a story ain't true unless somebody can co-sign it. My man John Cross has worked with me. My man Kyle Torres, my man Roman. There are people that work with me. Listen, it is what it is. I have never done anything and said anything that, Richard, I told you that. I said, unless somebody can come back and say that. I've never touched anybody that didn't want to be touched. And I never touched anybody that didn't swing first. So shame on them for not knocking me out. You know what I'm saying? But I can't help it if I got a good duck game. But
so you ain't never hit a motherfucker first?
Not at all. Not at all. Let me tell you something. Not at all. If I hit you first, trust me, you reached. And you listen. I said put your hand up, and you put your hand in your pocket. You might have got a couple of 2 pieces. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Now listen. Go home and say to your parents, "Yo, I'm sorry, I didn't listen. Why didn't you hit me?" Because listen, I'm going home. That's why I will say this. I'm sure Chuck can contest to this. If there was cameras, I probably would have lost my job, because what they would have saw was the speed. They would have saw and they would be like, "Oh my God!" Listen, I listen. If we could I could take you around some guys that I work with. They'd be like, "Yo, They be like, yo,
Hey, did you know Richard Frazier?
that's my man.
Yeah.
Richard Frazier, me and him went to high school together. Motherfucker called me up and said, yo, Rich, I'm getting ready to fight Roy Jones. I said, nigga, you must be out your fucking mind.
Yo, listen, Rich and I, we text each other every day, right? Yo, when he after he fought Roy Jones Jr. Yo, listen, I know for a fact he knew
he retired after that.
I would too. You get your ass. Listen, everybody retires after an ass whipping. You know what I'm saying? Yo, after Rich lost to Roy Jones Jr., right? I know he definitely did. He busted his knee up though. He slipped on like the advertisement, but he knew he was kind of outmatched. He was out of his league.
He slipped trying to get out the way.
But I think he did do something with a cartilage in his knee. But the thing is, I called him. So me and my man Mike Dog, we called him like a day later, right? And he didn't pick up the phone. It went to voicemail. I said, yeah, he's still scared and shit. You know what I'm saying? I said, yo, he got, you know what I'm saying?
I told him a couple of weeks ago, I said, yo, man, why you don't try to get Roy to do a rematch? He said, I did. The nigga won't fight me.
Yo, but you see what Roy was saying after the fight. He was like, yeah, why they getting into people, you know what I'm saying? And it was but listen, like I used to tell people when they was talking shit about Rich, I said, yo, listen, he lost to Roy Jones, but I bet you he won't lose to you.
True.
Oh, Rich can fight.
True.
Oh, no.
True.
Rich definitely, listen.
Yeah. True.
Let me tell you something. Rich and I, one time, we sparred after a wedding in our tuxedos. If I tell you a true
Whose
story,
wedding? Who fucking wedding was that?
It was this guy's wedding. We was all wedding. He had the king's wedding, and he had all groomsmen. And Lord rest in peace, my man Teddy Campbell. He died of COVID. My man Mike Dog and Rich.
Ted Campbell, the ball player?
Teddy Campbell, you know, ballhead Teddy? Yeah, they died. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the ball player, Ted Campbell.
Well, I mean, Teddy played ball. I don't know if you considered him like that. I don't know if it's the same guy.
That's a different. Must be a different Ted. Because Ted, I'm talking about was a bad motherfucker, boy.
Yeah. So, I mean, we back at the house chilling. Everybody, we started sparring. We was tearing each other up, and then Rich, listen, good boxer. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my man Rick Frazier. I'm gonna tell Tricky Ricky. We talking about you, and I said it, Rick. I ain't scared. What?
That's what he called himself, Tricky Rick.
I ain't scared, Rick. I feel like I got Roy Jones on speed dial. What?
I went to high school with Rich, man.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's my man.
Me, him, Andre Harrell from Def Jam. I mean, from Uptown Records.
Yeah, exactly. Jekyll and Hyde. Exactly.
Yeah. Freddie Jackson, Starsky.
Oh, you went to high school with Freddie Jackson too? That's my man.
Yeah.
Love Buzz Starsky. Yep.
Yep.
Now Love Buzz Starsky, rest in peace, but he was a guy that had little juicy lips.
Yeah. Now he was bipolar.
Whatever you want to call it.
You put the mix on Starsky?
Listen, I never had no riff with him.
Oh, okay.
Because it wouldn't have went that way.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you a story about him in the green room.
All right, yo, everybody, we getting out of here. We got to get out of here anyway. We'll talk, everybody. Love, peace, and happiness.
Best.
We see you.
All right.
Peace and blessings.
Peace out.
All right. Peace out.